Also along with some live examples and the scenarios so that you can think about the data modeling part and can create a data model during the session as well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so not full fledged, but once you go through all those things, then you will be able to draw a flexible data model. Okay, so that can be ingest n number of types of data inputs and create a data model so that it can be used easily by the developers, by the architects, by the business analyst role, and different stakeholders also. So when you're going to showcase any of the view or a data visualization part, okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
First question is what is data model? If we talk about a data modeling perspectives, so a data model are built around the business needs. So what we generally do, suppose we have a business requirement to ingest some of the data inputs or a data sets into a model, and then we want as a stakeholder, as a business, as a customers to view some insights from the data. You got my point?
Mm-hmm.
So the basic things to ingest the n number of inputs into a model, and from that model we can get the more insights. So we can say in single line a data model is just a building process around the business needs that is going to design a model in such a way so that it can ingest n number of data or the data from the different sources and can then visualize into the system so that the visualizations can be represent against the business users, against the stakeholders, against the senior management, or a number of users things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So the data model can be the data can be modeled at various level of abstractions. So when we talk about the abstractions and the data, so it belongs to a term ETL that you already know, I think. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. So ETL basically is also a part of data modeling in which we do extraction, transformations, and the loading part. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in ETL, the such process we are going to use in sometimes Informatica, also Cognos, also and so on, so that we can extract the data sets from different sources, load into a staging table, then going to transform it, and when going to transform, we applied the business logics and the calculations. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then look into a target system. But before loading into a staging server or a target server, we are going to use a data model. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because a data model, what we have as a data modeler, what you are going to design, that will be the uh, design of that database. It means the table architecture, the attributes that you are going to define as a data model will be the final tables in terms of relational tables or in terms of fact and dimensions tables that will be. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So if anyone is going to ask, so why a data model is important?
Yeah.
So a data model is important to make the visualizations, to make the data integrity, to make the data manipulations and the flow easily for the developers, for the architects, for the business analysts, and for the stakeholders. Because you have created a data model in such a way so that it can ingest all types of data into the model and can store the data into a data warehouse or a database.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
you know the differences between the database and the data warehouse, I'm assuming.
Yeah. One is OLTP and one is OLAP. Yeah.
Yes, if there will be a transactional data, that is called a database. If there will be a historical data like the OLAP, then it will be a data warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so similar way, uh, a data model helps data analytics and a database architects to prepare data for analysis to gain insights into strategic company decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so similar it is written. Go to the next slide. So see, so what is the purpose of a data model? Similar way, to communicate the system requirement, interactions with the data and the potential outcomes. So this way, I'm going to highlight this line with different color because this is the needs. Okay. The main purpose of data model is only these things: to communicate the computer system requirements, interactions with the data for the potential output or the potential outcome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we have three types of data models. I already told to you
Yep.
study physical,
Yes.
logical, and conceptual. So the physical law data model is just a blueprint of a database, what you think and what you analyze during the discussion. So suppose in live scenario, what happens generally? So the company got a project and involves some data modelers to work on it first. Okay. So in the first phase, when you get the requirement from the customer or from the business users, you're going to analyze the data. First thing, you're going to analyze the data and the metadata. Metadata, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, it said it's some information about the data.
Yes, it is also called the data about the data since what are different the column types, what are different the data is coming, what will be the length, what will be the data type of this. So all those things we are going to think on a metadata type. So data about a data. Okay. So in physical data model, we are going to just think a blueprint of a data model. So what we are going to create and how it looks like. It's not on any paper, it's not on any database creations and so on. Just a thing, suppose uh, I'm just saying, so you're going to create a banking system, okay? And for that banking system, you have to create a data model, okay? So in the first phase, what will be your approach?
Yeah, just like we would like to know just like what is the business process and how do we represent that business process basically. Just like
Yes,
right, just like customer is there, customer is a party, um,
yes,
and in loan there is a loan or a credit card is a product, right?
yes,
Address, what is the address of the customer, and
yes,
whenever customer buys a loan, so there are some events as well, events whenever something happens, right?
yes.
And there I think more there are more processes also, so basically to represent the business process we need the data model.
Yes. So, to know about all the business, okay, that we are going to convert into a model, first of all, we need to E2E business process of any of the business type, any of the areas. Like it will be a e-commerce, it will be a banking and financial domain, it will be a retail, it will be a telecom, it will be a pharma domain, any of the domain. So we must have to know the E to E, end-to-end process of that business. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in a banking and financial services, first we need to find out what are different types of entities that we have. In terms of their manual system, we must have to know about the modules and the functionalities. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
modules and functionalities. Why we are going to ask?
Yeah, just like uh, modules would be just like would be the subject areas, and functionality would be the how they are related to each other.
Yes. So you've gone through two types of diagram in databases. First is the entity relationship diagram, and second part you have gone through in the data flow diagram. That is called the DFD. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So why in the DFD what we are going to define in the first level of DFD, we're going to define the different modules. You know the DFD, data flow diagram.
To some extent only, and not to a great extent. Yeah.
Okay, okay, no issue. I will explain in next class what is DFD. Just a brief for you for today.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
in simple relational data models, we are going to create two things mainly. The first thing is the ER diagram, that is called the entity relationship diagram in relational database, and that is going to extend the same thing here in our data modeling part. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
this is called a dimensional model, having three types of data models like the physical, logical, and conceptual. And that ER diagram is called our relational model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is called the dimensional model of a system. And having a dimensional model of a system, so these are the three types of dimensional model, and these are physical, conceptual, and logical model comes under dimensional modeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but so just a back from a database concepts, when we are going to create a database, design a database, then we have two things. First things, a DFD. So DFD basically called a data flow diagram. So we have DFD. Okay, then we have why we are writing here, because we are going to explain. Okay, so that we
Yep.
can, yes, data flow diagrams and a data dictionary. Okay, and a metadata. So when we talk about a relational databases previously, before coming the data modeling concepts, then we gone through two things basically. The main thing, the first thing is the data flow diagrams, and second thing is the ER diagram. ER diagram is nothing, just a entity relationship diagram. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so in DFD we think about the modules. Like in first liner of DFD, we are going to showcase. Suppose we think about a hospital management system. Okay, then the main functionality of hospital management system is to a doctor treats a patient in one liner. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that is the DFD. But when you go enter into a DFD and going to explain multiple modules of a hospital management system, then that will be our first level of DFD. In first level of DFD, we are going to define the different modules like login modules, like registrations modules, like patient modules, like the doctor modules, like the wards and um, staffs modules, so medicines and all those things. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the main models that we are going to consider will be our first level of DFD. In
Mm-hmm.
second level of DFD, we are going to define each process within one model. Okay, so what we are going to define? We are going to define each process within a model.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the basic concepts of DFD. But in ER diagram, we do the different things. First of all, we are going to consider, or we are going to uh, think about the entities of a system. Like
Mm-hmm.
for a banking and financial services, entities will be first bank, second will be the customer, third will be the accounts, fourth will be their credit cards, fifth will be their maybe their mutual funds if they're going to allow. Then they have the other services like loans. In loans, we have three types of personal loans, banking, car loans, home loans, gold loans. So these are called the sub entities of entities.
Mm-hmm.
So before creating a ER diagram or before creating a data model for any system, first things we need to consider is what are different entities we can extract from that system. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And second thing will be how the entities are going to relate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, what are our last objective? The last objective is how we are going to create a database. And every database must be in a must follow the concept of RDBMS or a concept of fact and dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yep.
So you must have to keep in mind if you are going to create a fact table or going to create a dimensions table. So all the tables should be relate to each other or having a concept of referential integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're going to create a tables and a database in RDBMS, it must follow the properties of primary key and foreign key relationship.
Yeah. Mm, that's right.
Yes, yes. So when you're going to create a ER model or when you're going to create a data model of any system, you must have to keep in mind the entities of that system should relate to each other. But in general life, uh, in lab scenario, it will not be happen. As a data modeler, you have to think about the entities. You have to define the relationship of the other entities and then create a data model.
Mm-hmm.
You got my point?
Yep.
It's, so you have, because the main objective of data model is same. We have to think about the entities. So if we talk about in life scenarios, what are the objective of a data modeler? The first objective of a data modeler is to understand the system very clearly. So every inputs and output you must have to know,
Mm-hmm.
because your inputs and the suggestions will help the developers, will help the architect role, will help the database or visualizations developers also. So they are good because they will not do anything in creating a data model, because they are the different teams, and you are just leading the team of as a SME, as a data modeler, so that you are going to support a data engineering team, you're going to support a database development team, and you're going to support a data visualization team.
Mm-hmm.
Why we are going to support a data visualization team and all those things? Because the role is just like a data modeler. Then a modeler need to interact with the data engineers, need to interact with the database developers, and also need to interact with a data visualization team,
Mm-hmm.
because they are going to only use the views. They are going to
Yeah.
only use a they are going to only use a extracted data that they are going to extract from the database. And who
Yeah.
will get the data? A database developer,
Mm-hmm.
either in forms of some scripts or in secure view. Okay, one thing you know about the views.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like,
So
yep, that's right.
so basically, what happened when you go for a cloud data model or a data modeler in terms of Snowflake, Azure, AWS, and all those things. So we have two things. First, we're going to create a view, and we are going to uh, send it means transfer the record sets in terms of a view, and that view is called our secure view. SV underscore, the naming convention should be like this. Why we are going to say secure view? That is, I'm just giving. So, as a data modeler, when you have designing a database, when we have designed the tables, all those things we have done, and same thing has been created by your database development team. So, some tables, some mapping, and all those things. Now, as a third party of the system, or a output, you are going to create a view on each visualizations report, so that all the views will be used by the data analytics team. So they are going to visualize the data, but which data that you are sending to that team. So if the model will be not perfect, the output will be also not perfect. So that's why all those responsibilities and a ownership comes into a data model.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the main and essential part of any of the system nowadays, because the system and the requirement changed in recent 5 to 6 years. They are not stick with the design, and they are not stick with the developers. They have a one level up approach as a data modeler.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you the first main objective is to know the business properly. Second point, to create a data model that should be flexible. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
third, so every process data, either structured and unstructured, should be ingest by the tables properly. It means there is no gap or missing data word comes after the processing.
Mm-hmm.
So only these three things we need to consider before creating a data model. First thing, to know the business process well. What we have done in the second thing
Business process and then the relationships, modules, and their functionality.
is, so first things, business process, the modules and the functionalities. Second part
uh, how the uh, how the modules are related to each other, right?
is, we need to uh, find the relationship between the modules and the entities so that we can create a model. And third part is the data model should be flexible so that
Mhm.
it can be expanded at any time. It means, suppose as a data modeler, you have created a data model for the banking domain, and on that time, there is no mutual funds and loans facilities available on that bank. It may be happen because uh, the system has recently started that they are just doing a transaction in terms of saving account, current account, and that's it. Only two accounts are there. But later, when the bank grow, he thinks, no, now I am capable to give loan to the customer. So you must have your system should be your the model should be in such a way so new models can be integrated into the existing model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when it will be happen, it will be happen when your data model should be flexible. When your data model will be flexible.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And always we have to think about the flexible data model.
Mm-hmm.
We know nowadays requirement is not changing day by day, but the enhancement come anytime because as a software company employee, you know when enhancement comes, the customer has to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So if customer is going to pay to enhance their functionalities, then you must have to enhance your model also.
Yeah.
Yes. So the business process attributes their models and the functionality is the first part. Second things, as a logical data model, you must have to think about the relationships. And third, it should be flexible. So
Mm-hmm.
these things must have to keep in mind before creating a data model.
Yeah.
Okay. Physical, you're going to create a blueprint of the system. You are just thinking, okay, so there will be model and that model is going to relate with the others and so on. You are thinking in this way. Okay. So the second part is the logical that we already have discussed, in which we are going to discuss all technical stuffs like the data, attributes, relationship, constants, subtypes and subtypes, and how we are going to manage the data in one database system or more than one database system. So all things of technical discussions that will be happen during logical data model.
Mm-hmm.
But the logical data model will be discussed within the team, not with the customer,
Mm-hmm.
because we are going to actually implement the data model. Okay, so how the logic has been, what you are going to ask with the customer, you are going to ask the functionality of a module from a customer. Hey, why you have created this page? It means, suppose you go to, sorry, suppose your requirement manager or you uh, attend a meeting with the customer and they have shown a form. Hey, this is the form we have prepared for the customer. Okay, we have gone through the forms having few columns. Then the question should be, hey, why, what is the functionality of the forms, what you are doing with these forms, and which types of input you are taking from this form as a user in manual system. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
or if you got some data or some feeds, you know the word feeds
Mm-hmm.
is feeds
Ingestion.
means. Yes, feeds in terms of some JSON data, some text file, some Excel file, CSV file, any a number of things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
if you got a feed, then you must have to relate first, go through the feeds and all those things, and then define your logical model. And when the logical model will be finalized, a conceptual model will be a big feature of view systems and will be the actual implementation within the database.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so always remember we have two things. Two things means a dimensional modeling. In a dimensional modeling, we have three types of data model: physical data model, logical data model, and conceptual data model. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
a data model and data analytics. These two terms are related to each other. And again, repeating my words: a data modeling and a data analytics, because a modeling helps. to create a better visualizations for the stakeholders, for the customers, for the senior managements, and all those things. It totally depends upon a data modeler. So how he is going to create a model so that it helps the data visualizations team or a data and analytics team, and that
Mm-hmm.
we term BI, business intelligence. So you heard about the BI tools of Microsoft, SSIS, SSAS, SSRS.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what we do in this? We do the same thing, data modeling and data analytics. SSIS, SQL Server Integration Services, SSRS, Reporting Services, SSAS, Analytical Services. Okay, so all those reporting tool, Power BI, you know about the Power BI?
Yeah.
Is Tableau.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do in this, we create a data analytics, a data visualizations report to showcase the customer.
Mm-hmm.
But a data model helps the analyst to visualize a data sets in better insights. And these terms that we have written the related is data integrity, data analytics, structured, unstructured, business intelligence, all comes as a part of data modeling.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because you have to think structured as well as unstructured data also. So I'm going to add one term. When we have an unstructured data, uh, then we have data transformation is needed. So when we have a unstructured data, then the data transformation is needed.
Mm-hmm.
What my point?
How just like to bring it from unstructured to structured or to fit into the database?
Yes. So data transformation in terms of what? Data transformations in terms of a simple example I'm giving. Suppose we are getting the date time stamp from the source.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But our need is not to get the time. It may be, we are stick with the date, we are stick with the month and year. So here the transformation is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first. Second, for a system, suppose if we are getting a customer name, so the transformation should be like this: first name, middle name, and last name. We are going to extract from that name. Okay, so these are the example of transformations. Just a basic examples. I'm not saying that because a lot of types of transformations happen during the ETL process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like date transformations, lookup transformations, then we have like combined together, then we have a lot of transformations, combinations, then we have a lookup, then we have a cleanup process also comes during the transformations. So all those process are going to clean and going to prepare a data from unstructured to structured.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in a system we are going to use a staging table or a raw table. Okay. So when you use, okay, one question. So which tool you are going to use as a data modeling?
Arvind.
Admin. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So Admin is the best tool in the market currently. Admin, Oracle Data Modeler. So these two are the best, but most of the company are going to use the Admin because they have a lot of functionalities. So how they're going to use, they're going to maintain the historical parts also, and so on. Okay. So suppose you have created a model today. You're going to create a model, and later sometime you're going to change. So you can also see the differences and what we have done changes by tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So these are the terms: data integrity, data analytics, structured data transformations, often structured data, business intelligence, that is also known as the BI part, is related to our data modeling.
Yep.
Now, we have two types of data modeling technique. First is the entity relationship, and second is the UML. Okay. So when it comes about the OOPS concepts, object-oriented programming structure, so we have UML. UML is called Unified Modeling Language, but it is not a language. It is just to draw a diagram in terms of class diagram, object diagram. Then we have use case diagram, process flow diagrams. Uh, then we have state chart diagrams and so on. So these diagrams comes under our UML part. But in
Mm-hmm.
a data model, if we talk about ER model, that is called the entity relationship model, so that covers our physical model, conceptual and logical model part.
Mm-hmm.
So data model basically what we do. It's organize the data descriptions, data semantics, and the consistency constants of data throughout the system.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you heard about the SCD?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. So SCD plays an important role while designing your actual database
Mm-hmm.
and all types of SCD. So SCD 1 to 0 is not sometimes used or not. I will explain with one example of SCD also. So the slowly changing dimensions plays an important role in terms of data modeling when you're going to design our physical data model.
Mm-hmm.
So why physical data model? Why SCD plays an important role? Because
Yeah.
SCD have types. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you've also gone through type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3, and so on. So I will explain with one example every type when we will discuss this topic. SCD plays an important role in our data modeling when we are going to create the actual databases. It means physical data model.
Mm-hmm.
So always clear. Conceptual, it's a blueprint. Logically, it means we are going to relate the attributes and their modules. And physically, it means the actual database we are going to create within the system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in STD, it's plays important role. It's give a sense to a data modeler to create their columns like audit columns, you know.
Yep. Just like load date timestamp, start time and time, right? Delete flag.
Yes, correct, good. So audit flags means your load date and times, your create date, created by, update date, updated by, and users from which system we are going to update those things so that it can be used later. If any queries will come, hey, who has updated this values? So if a audit columns you have within a tables, so that you can so know this column has been updated by a APH, by a manual update, by a user and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So audit column is really needed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the SCD give a sense. So when you're going to create a data model, a physical data models, not data model, a physical data models in terms of actual tables, rows, columns, and so on. So the SCD gives suggestions to implement within their table architecture and so on. Okay?
Yep.
Yes. So going forward, yes. So why we use a data model? So these are the types. You can go through it, no issue. This is not needed to go one by one.
Mm-hmm.
So, so data model goals ensures data objects, a help in design database, data model structure. Then we have a clear picture of a base tables, identify the missing and the redundant data. Then we have the initial creation of data models and so on. That is the main objective.
Yeah.
So now we have this thing. So see here, a logical model, physical model, and create a big database and so on. So in logical model, we think about the process and the data requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Physical data models, technical requirements, what we receive that we are going to convert.
Yep.
So what, how, and how we are going to manage, that is our person. So every time when you do or when you involve into a requirement gathering process, so when client is going to explain the process, he will give some facts to you. Facts in sense, suppose he will say, hey, this is our system and we want to enhance our model. Currently, it is not going to follow any models. It's just a uh, mm, SQL Server databases or Oracle databases having some tables and views. But now the system is too big. We are not going to fetch different types of reports from the system, or we are not going to optimize our data so that it can be utilized in visualizations. So in such scenarios, a data modeler or data modeling is needed
Mm-hmm.
because owner of the system, because the stakeholder of the system is not going to see the data, they're going to see the graph.
Yep.
Yes. Any of the enterprises or a company, even a small company, like if we talk about Ola Cabs, if we talk about the Zomato, Swiggy, these are the company and not a huge company, but the owner also is not going to see the data sets, they are going to see the visualizations. And when
Yep.
a data visualizations comes into the picture, we need a data model.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I'm not saying that we can't create a data model. Sorry, we can't create a data visualizations from a database. We can create. Obviously, we can create through the SQL scripts that we are going to apply on databases and can create a report. But it can create some problems also later when we have multiple data sets or resources coming to integrate into the existing model.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two things happen. Either you will work on an existing system to create a data models to enhance their visualizations, to enhance their data points, and so on. Either or you will create a data model for a new system.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, uh, so if there is a existing system and from the existing system you are going to create a data model, so that will help you because you
Mm-hmm.
know you're seeing how the existing system is running, how the flow has been created, what are the process flow of that system. So you are seeing within the tables and a data flow. But if a new system has come and you need to create a data model, then you have to give 110 to 25% of your task. But for existing system, 100% is fine. Why I am
Mm-hmm.
saying this percentage or a task? Because I have worked on both types of system. Okay, so you know the AT&T clients,
Mm-hmm.
AT&T and AT&T or Walmart or any. So Walmart, what I have in life, have a huge set of data, and their
Mm-hmm.
source system is also 10 to 15 source system from
Mm-hmm.
where we need to extract the data. We need to pull the data in our system, and then we need to create a data models for one part only, and that is the uh, sales and manufacture graph. That is the one part of Walmart we have worked for in COVID times. Okay, for uh, from our side, it means from our company, and only one part of Walmart having a huge set of data.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one example. So a bank having a review and comment system. It means if any customer comes, he wants to capture the feedback from the customer. So similar to a e-commerce also, when you're going to purchase, a message comes to you. So how you're going to rate the process in 1 to 5 and give some comments. It generally happen. So they're going to capture the review comments and ratings from four different sources, from the API, from the mobile app, from the website links, and from the flat files that is coming
Mm-hmm.
as a receipt. Similar to a banking system also, if a bank wants to take reviews from the customer, so he has created some uh, reviews as a comments and ratings. So for one data points, the data was, I've just told four sources as
Mm-hmm.
an example. First, think about the uh, other sources also. Suppose your banking system had done uh, what I'm saying, digital marketing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and from that digital marketing, you have a Facebook page, you have a Instagram, you have a Twitter or any of the pages, LinkedIn also. And so from where you're also going to capture the comments. So your data point or data source will be different.
Mm-hmm.
So as a simple system, we also have to think, so what are different sources we're getting and how we're going to manage. And all those data are coming from APIs. Some data are coming from mobile APIs. Some data are coming from Google Sheets. Some data are coming from scheduled job and so on. Some data are coming from flat files. So to create a system, you must have to I'm talking about the inner one. Inner one, it means the logical part. Conceptual, we have done, you know the process, all those things. Logical relationship also done. Now, when we are going to create a physical data model, that is the actual table, then you have to think about the keys. Keys, it means in terms of primary keys and foreign keys. But here in data model, the keys will be hub key or the super key or surrogate key or any keys that you're going to create in your admin, that will be unique.
Mm-hmm.
So one scenario, suppose uh, you have customer data that is coming from three different systems. Just an example, one has uh, open a startup in 2000. Okay, and on that time the company having not too much fund to explain, and he has taken Microsoft license on that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he has used to capture the data in Excel and Microsoft Access,
Mm-hmm.
because Access and Microsoft Excel on that time, because company was not too big. Um, they don't want to purchase a license version and all those things. Suppose he grew up sometimes and he has purchased SQL Server license, Microsoft SQL Server license. Now the data is in SQL Server. Again, now the company grow. He has purchased Oracle licenses. Okay, why he wants Oracle? Because from the Oracle he also get the license for the enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, company is too big, having multiple zones, having multiple models like the manufacturing sections, HR, admin, sales, pre-sales, all those things. He want to shift the data a cloud, into a cloud like the AWS, Azure, Snowflake, GCP, and all, and any of the systems. So, and now you are a data modeler.
Mm-hmm.
Data modeler, you need to create a data model. Okay, so think about the system. The first data was in XLMS axis that is used for some time. The data is transferred into the SQL server, now in Oracle. Now you want to create a system, a data model to capture all those data to see is the company from 2000 year to 2023, how the wings are going on. Wings, it means how the sales is working, how the manufacturing is working, how the production is working, how the HR, admin, employee, all are working perfectly or not. He wants to see the graph.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much he has expanded from their revenue as well as from his stakeholders, and what are the benefits of that? Because companies now having an aging of 20 years, and he wants to see the uh, progress. He wants to see the insights of every module. So as a data modeler, you must have to think, hey, the data in different forms. It may be Excel having also an ID of 101. It may be possibilities SQL Server have also an ID of 101. And Oracle also have been creating an ID of 10. It may be possibilities. So
Mm-hmm.
while designing a database of a staging server, sorry, a raw table or a staging table, you have to keep word on ID. It means create a either a identity columns or a hub key so that it can differentiate those IDs with your unique IDs.
Mm-hmm.
Because Excel having 101, SQL Server also having 101, Oracle also having 101. For their data sets, both sorry, all 101 is different.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, when you are going to drive the data, so you will face some problem with 101. So while creating a data warehouse or any of the system, you must have to create a super key, hub key, private key, any of the keys of your own system. But
Okay.
the ref
Mm-hmm.
but the references would be there.
Yep.
Okay. So these are the same diagrams of data model, conceptual. This is the logical and physical, and we have this. So I'm going to conclude the class now. Is it fine?
Yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And all those topics that we are writing here will be also discussed. Because when you're going to discuss something, then something comes between this, like SCD, DFD, transitive dependency, star schemas, factor analysis tables, and then we also covered some parts of your admin. So how you are doing this, how you are doing the actual implementations. If any help needed from my side, then we can discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep, sure. Thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
See you tomorrow. Thanks.
Okay, bye.